Some people are trusting a process that's broken. They're trusting their own effort. They think that, well, this is how I've always done it. There's a difference between being persistent and being stupid. You need to make sure that you are breaking down the right barriers and not just blowing your head against the wall.
What if you could build a business in the modern world as big or as small as you want without having to compromise the things that were the most important to you in the very beginning? This is the Wealthy Consultant Talks Podcast with Taylor Welch and Mike Walker, as they share with you today their learning lessons from stories in their experiences over the past 10 to 15 years and share with you right here, right now. Let's get into it.
What is going on, my friends? Mike here. Excited to have you with me on another episode of the Wealthy Consultant Podcast. As always, I get the privilege, the honor, and the experience of being able to work with every single one of our clients here at the Wealthy Consultant. We have different tiers, different levels of people in the entrepreneurial experience. Some are just starting out, crafting new offers. Some people are already 7-8 figures deep, and they're doing quite well, but they're just simply dealing with different problems, right? Everybody experiences problems in their business. It's just a matter of what is the level of those problems. And obviously, the more sophisticated they are, the more sophisticated the solutions are required to fix them. But we serve the entire, full spectrum experience here for everybody who is a subject matter expert, a coach, a consultant, somebody that has expertise. We help them unlock that here. And the reason I preface what I'm about to talk about today is because it doesn't matter where a person finds themselves in that spectrum of evolution as an entrepreneur. Every single one of them deals with this challenge, and that is consistency. Consistency, my friend, is one of the things that people struggle with the most. This is not a surprise. It is why people join the gym January 1st when they see the biggest attendance. And then what is it like? January 15th, everybody's dropped off and there's only the hardcore people left, right? It's just the human nature to constantly struggle with consistency. And to overcome that human trait, it takes specific focus. It takes a calling to have something bigger than yourself. And there are all kinds of different hacks and different methodologies for creating more consistency in your life and in your business. But one of the things I want to get to is more of the operating system behind it. See, we're always looking for tactics like, well, maybe if I sign up for this subscription software that's going to keep me on track more, or maybe if I pay this coach, then they're going to get me, they're going to crack the whip enough and it's going to keep me going. And all these things absolutely have their place. Like, for sure, if you have someone screaming at you at the gym to keep going, chances are you're probably going to keep going a little bit more than if you would yourself, right? But the fact is, we don't always have someone there in our ear telling us what to do. If you are a solo operator, or even if you are a team of many, either way, you have to be a leader of one before you can be a leader of many. Let me say that one more time. You have to be a leader of one, before you can be a leader of many. So we are all responsible to ourselves. We are beholden to our own standards, and we typically don't necessarily live up to our abilities or our potential as much as we do fall down to our standards. And so I want to share with you today an analogy about consistency that I think will help frame the concept. And then I want to give you a few key ideas of how to maintain consistency. Because here's the thing, guys, as a business owner, you need to understand consistency creates credibility. Credibility creates relationships, and relationships are the business of business. All right. Consistency creates that credibility, both with yourself and with your market. And that credibility creates the relationships that you need between you and your market. Once those are established, they have the know, like, trust built, then the monetization pathway is opened and they're willing to exchange value, both in their time, effort, energy, and currency, to then exchange that for whatever it is that you offer, both in products and services, right? So what do we need to do to maintain consistency? Well, first we need to understand why we struggle with consistency, especially nowadays. Because here's the thing, guys, like, we live in a microwave push button culture, right? We literally have the entire world of experience right here on our phones in our hands. So everything is like on demand, when I want it, right now. Well, the reality is, if you're doing anything meaningful in your business, the reality is that those things are going to take some time. And I know you don't need me to tell you that. It's like, no crap, Mike. Like, I understand things take time. Yeah, but there's a difference between knowing and acknowledging. Knowing is like, I know about that, but we need to acknowledge the fact that, hey, look, I'm trying to do something pretty damn good here. And therefore, it's going to take some time. And whatever that time is obviously going to be dictated by a whole bunch of variables that we're not going to take the time to get into now. But at the end of the day, we need to be aware of the fact that setting expectations, when should I be seeing results? At least early indicators of success, right? Because here's the analogy I use with clients all the time. It's like, and this is kind of old school, but they have these old wells back in the day, right? Where essentially it's this massive lever and this pump, and these tubes go down into the ground, down deep into the water table, and you would sit there and you would pull this lever. And these things are pretty hard to pull. Like, you're really putting in some weight. If you're listening to me, you don't get this, but I'm literally like holding this massive lever, right? Imagine it's several feet long, and I'm sitting there and pulling all my weight into this thing, creating a vacuum. That vacuum that's created in that tube starts drawing up water from the water table. All right. And that water travels up the tube. Now, the longer the tube, the more effort's required to get that water to be pulled up that long tube. And so, as marketers, as people in the marketplace, as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, we're constantly sitting there putting in immense amount of effort into pulling this lever, but no water's coming out yet. And so what do? We get frustrated. We get perplexed as to, well, hang on, I've been sitting here pulling on this damn lever for who knows how long, and there's still not a drop of water coming out. This must not be working. This isn't worth my time. Why am I doing this? I am frustrated. I'm putting in this energy and effort and time and not seeing any fruits of my labor, any water coming out the other end, right? That, my friends, is why people quit, because they don't get that validation of effort. I've put in effort. I'm not getting out response. I'm not getting out any kind of, energy or value exchange of money or anything, right? Here's the thing. We need to understand that just because we see it doesn't mean that something isn't happening. Because if you are sitting there and pulling on this lever for sometimes 3 to 4 minutes and still not seeing water, if you didn't know that how it works, you would get frustrated and you would quit. You go, well, obviously this is broken. This doesn't work. But someone who is experienced, that does know the mechanics, that does have their expectations set properly, they would know, oh no, this is working. I understand what's involved here. I'm going to be doing this for a minute now, like several minutes actually, and nothing's going to actually happen in front of me, but there is a lot happening underneath the surface. I can't see it, but I absolutely know that it is happening and that it will come to fruition, that eventually water will come out. And that's exactly what happens. If you sit there and pull on these levers long enough, create that vacuum long enough, the water gets drawn up and up and up and up the tube until finally it comes out the spigot on the other end. As soon as that happens, as soon as that vacuum is broken and established, it will immediately start drawing water on its own. And what's really, really interesting is that lever that was so hard to pull actually becomes easy. Like, you could literally move it up and down. It starts actually moving on its own. And you can just, with a finger touch, keep that thing in motion. And water, an immense amount of water will start coming out with very little effort, because the effort was front loaded. And that's what you need to understand. In different phases of your business, you're going to have to front load effort prior to getting the result. And if you don't have an understanding of how that works and the timing and the mechanisms and the components and the variables involved, then you'll give up. Consistency won't exist because you're constantly misaligned between expectations and reality of what happens in the marketplace and how these things fit together. And so I just want to, just try to not convince you, but just get you clear on the idea that you are going to be putting in work and not get that initial dopamine hit of like, oh, look what I did. Some things you will, and that's great, but typically they're not that meaningful. We're talking about like big movements in your business, big next levels, like quantum leap type stuff. It's not going to happen necessarily from just snap your fingers or some transformative thing that you just stopped doing or you started doing and now all are things different. Those can happen, but generally speaking, especially in the longer time frames, you're going to need to put in front load of effort before you get the results. And you just need to understand that process and trust that process. And that'll be the last thing I leave you with here, is the concept of trusting that process. Some people are trusting a process that's broken. They're trusting their own effort. They think that, well, this is how I've always done it. There's a difference between being persistent and being stupid. Like, Be persistent is just keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep pulling that lever up, down, up, down, up, down, knowing that you are doing a proven, vetted process to get the net end result that you're looking for. The inverse of that is just stupidity, just blunt force. I don't know. I'm just going to keep going. There are small attributes of good things there, like you kind of do need to be bullheaded in some ways, but you need to make sure that you are like breaking down the right barriers and not just blowing your head against the wall, right? So we need to make sure that we're doing the right things. And that's where aligning yourself with experience, aligning yourself with people that have already been there, done that is massively helpful. Like I can't even express the value of being able to align with people that already are doing and have achieved what it is that you are going for. Because the last thing you want to do is be persistent at the wrong thing, right? So yeah, let's make sure that that pump, that lever that you are pulling is worth the effort, and two, that it is a functioning device to get you the net result that you want. Let's make sure that if you are putting in the time, effort, and energy to pull that lever up and down, that it is in fact creating that vacuum, reaching down into your marketplace to pull, to extract the relationships and the value exchange that you are looking for that will happen over time. But you need to trust the process. You need to know that the delivery mechanism that you are using, the functions of your business are correct. And then you can just trust the process. Just stay consistent. Don't just get scatterbrained or shiny object syndrome and just go, oh, well, I've tried this for 2 minutes. It's not working. So I'm going to try something else. I promise you, there will be no shortage of people screaming at you from other mountains saying, no, this is the easier mountain to climb. Like, just climb one mountain at a time. Focus, find one that's a proven, vetted process to the top, and then just stay consistent until you get the results you want. But make sure that that effort is validated with some kind of mechanism or strategy that is, again, going to get you the results you're looking for. I hope this helps. Consistency and definitely the lack of will absolutely kill your business. So don't let this one slip. It's not necessarily some revolutionary concept here. I understand that, but it is also probably, if not for sure, the biggest problem holding people back. It's not so much that they don't know what to do, it's that they're not doing what they already know to do consistently enough. It's not lack of information, it's the implementation of it that hurts people so much in their business. I hope this helps. We'll see you on another episode of the Wealthy Consultant Podcast. Take care, my friends. See ya.